Questions about house rules, character creations, and things like that? Well, that's what Session 0 is for. Let's talk about that up next. Hey YouTube, hey listeners, hey watchers out there. What's up? This is the Evil DM. I'm here back for another exciting sage advice for you. This week we're going to talk about the importance of Session 0 and the things that go hand in hand with Session 0 and why you should do a Session 0, because I think it's quite important to start your new campaign, your new adventure in gaming off with a Session 0. Now, if you're running a one-shot, you don't need a Session 0 so much, as you can pretty much right before the game say, hey, here's our characters, we're going to play, let's have fun. But if you're running a long-term campaign in any game, you need to sit down with your players and decide beforehand a couple things. As the DM, before the game, you're probably going to want to have some like generalized house rules of what you think should happen during the game. Maybe some rules you've changed, maybe a critical rule or a critical fumble rule, something that's not normally found in the book, but you all do at the table, but it's not written in stone. I like to have a bunch of house rules that I normally do in my game and character creation guideline rules written on a piece of paper and presented for the players. That gives them a chance to look it over, and during the week before the game, it's kind of like a half session before the 0 session. I don't know what you want to call it, or -1 session. I give them the notes during the week of what I want in my Session 0. And then I say, here's everything that's going to happen. And then we might do some gaming, but here's what the rules are. In Session 0, we're going to go over these things. And in case anybody has a question, that's the time to bring it up. Now, when that happens, this is when Session 0 happens. Your players will come. They'll start creating their characters based upon the rules you made for your campaign. Now, your campaign can have restrictions in it, such as maybe you don't want certain races played by players because that race is not in your world, because your world does not envision these set of things happening. Maybe a certain class might not be available in the world. Like maybe you don't want magic users in your world, or you want the magic users to, I should say wizards. Maybe you want them to be, I don't know, restricted. Say you're playing in like the Merlin style TV show campaign where magic was outlawed, and you had to make sure that when the player builds his character that he's aware of that magic is outlawed and he shouldn't be doing this, and he has to figure out ways to cover up magic and make it part of his backstory. And this is also where you do backstories with characters. You sit there and you figure out in the group how you want them to know one another, maybe how they know each other. Maybe you want them to, you tell them we're going to meet up this way. Normally in my campaigns, I try to figure out a way for the players to already have known one another. Somehow they grew up in the same town or something. But the last campaign I did, they did not know each other at all. They came from different continents completely. And they all gathered up in one place looking for work, because this is a major town looking for work. And that's how I got them together. But in Session 0, you go over your house rules, which you'll have written out. Maybe you don't want to. Maybe we'll just talk about it in the group. That's fine. I really strongly suggest writing them on paper, just so if there's any questions in the future, you all have that piece of paper to fall back on. Oh, remember we discussed this and you had no problem. Not saying your friends will have a problem, but just in case something arises, here is that piece of paper to back you up. This is also a chance to talk over what to expect in the campaign. What are the no-nos of the game? Maybe there shouldn't be certain topics that should be discussed during the game. More so, this is if you're at a comic book store running a game. But if you're with your buddies and you know them pretty well, you kind of get the idea what's a no-no and what's not a no-no. But you never know. Just discuss it. Maybe you might want to say no politics, real-life politics at the gaming table. No religion at the gaming table, real life that is. And maybe no sexual situations that make people feel uncomfortable, whatever they may be. Some people don't like those 3 big things in their games. I know I keep the 3 of them out of my games, and that way everybody's on the same page. Yeah, we may goof around a little bit about this or that, but I generally know who my friends are and what they like and don't like. There was a campaign that I was recently running, and we had a situation where we were playing Marvel, and the players were villains in my campaign, so they just started destroying the city. and the city started crashing down. And as I was describing it, because they were going after buildings that were people in it, so the building came crashing down, and they asked about what was going on. So I described it, and before I can get the words out of my mouth, I heard it, and I realized, oh man, because I described people falling out of the tower as it was falling, and then I realized 9/11, and I went, and no one said anything. Everyone was cool with it. But then after the game, one of the players came to me and said, maybe we should retcon that because, that, I don't know, maybe that felt like it shouldn't have been said. And I said, I agree 100%. I'm really, really sorry about that. I had an aunt that died in 9/11. So for me, that was just, as I heard it coming out of my mouth, I knew it. And I went, sometimes you're in the moment and things happen. I apologized to him, and he didn't know I explained my situation to him as well. And he was cool with it. No one else in the group really had a problem with it. They were just kind of like, thought it was, interesting to hear about. I guess they really didn't care. But honestly, overall, I didn't care. But I just was like, damn. Got to be careful of those things in the future. That's one of the no-nos that you may want to discuss in the game. You don't have to tell people about it. But also set the expectations. Tell the group what your style of DMing is. Also, if they're brand new to you or haven't DM'd with you, played in a game with you in a long time, I like to set that expectations. When I played in the comic book store, I used to tell the players that weren't familiar with me, my style of DMing is loose. I'm more of a let's role play, interact with the group with minimal combat. Sometimes it will be combat heavy depending on what the situation is, but I tend to like to do investigation, puzzles, traps, and things like that. I don't expect to follow the rules by the book because I always modify things, and no monster is ever what you seem to know in the book. I tell players that the only book they're allowed to table is a player's handbook. That's it. And they need to use that only if they're looking up their spells or something related to their class. They want to look up a rule? Fine. You tell me on the side, you say, we need to take a break, I need to discuss something, then we talk about it. That's the only time. I don't like people that bring a book over to me in my face. Well, the monster said. No. I don't care what the monster said. I don't care what the book says. This is my game. I change things around purposely to keep people on their toes. And that's what people keep coming back to the games for. Enjoy it. I haven't had one of those people that put the book in my face in quite some time now, but I usually weed those players out of the group. I can't take them, and they can't take me, so they just leave or I kick them out. One of the two. But yeah, kind of crappy, but that's the only way because we can't get along because they are insistent on rule lawyering me, which I don't like. Hate me for it, like me for it. I have my way of playing, you have your way of playing. No way is wrong. I'm not disrespectful about it. We usually talk and we come to an agreement, and generally is the person leaving or they change their attitude and apologize, because that's no fun when you're DMing and someone shoves a book in your face. So also during session 0, this is the time you're going to allow people to role play, to get to know their characters as well. Maybe give them a short session in the bar or something, or the tavern, or at an inn where they come in and maybe role play with the tavern keeper. Give them a chance to get into maybe their voice of their character, get into how they feel about the character, and interact with the other people in the group, see how the mix goes. Why session 0 is really important is if someone really doesn't like their character after building it, this is the chance for them to delete it. Delete. And make up a new character, because session 0 is session 0. That's the chance to make and break things. That's why I do session 0. Do you do session 0? Let me know. Tell me in the comments below if you do session 0, and give me a like, give me a comment if you haven't before. I appreciate it, and subscribe to the video. Don't forget to click that little bell icon so you know when my next video is coming out. Good night.